President-elect Trump is now headed to the White House. I've often said, no matter what goes on in the White House, the most important thing is what goes on in your house. So I want to share with you my thoughts here, my reaction on 3 things to look for here in the next 90 days to see what happens here to our economy and how it affects your pocketbook. Let's get started here in 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Let's get this money. Those dollar bills getting this on out of here. Let's get this money. One year, better know I'm on it.
What's cracking, everybody? Mighty smart guy, Matt Sapaula here, hailing to you from Dallas, Texas. And many of you are excited, many of you are sad, but nonetheless, you and I have to get along in America. We are brothers and sisters. We're neighbors. Listen, my faith says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. So listen, regardless of what has happened and transpired in the elections, my job is to make sure I shine a light of hope in our finances through the blessing that God gives me through financial stewardship, financial literacy, and getting things done from a wealth building creation. Are you interested in that? All right, so a few things on my mind here when it comes to what is going to transpire here in a short, near future. And the reason why I say short, near future is it looks like the House has flipped red. The Senate is red. The White House is red. We have a completely Republican Congress and White House, which means that any laws that President Trump may want to put in place is going to go through laws and through the process of actually creating bills. And guess what? No executive orders that could be written off by the next incoming president that may not agree with it. These are actually laws that we put in place so Americans can follow them. And so the first thing I'm excited about is what happened to the stock market, how it responded the day after the election. It was the greatest stock market return the day after the election in the history of the stock market. The Dow Jones returned over 1,500 points. My wife and I were having lunch and we looked at our stock portfolio. We looked at our Schwab account like, babe, do you see how much money we've made in our portfolio today? Today, not for the year, but today. And we were shocked. And to see how the market is responding, to see how Wall Street is responding. See, by the way, to see how the world is responding. Because remember, the Dow Jones and the stock market, the New York Stock Exchange is just not American investments. It's global investments. The excitement, the hope, the light, the life that a strong leader will cast into the White House, onto Wall Street, is going to start reflecting now in a short, near future. Now, I could be wrong, but these are some of the things I'm just excited about. So, for example, I just shared, many of you have 401k retirement plans. Many of you installed maybe a 401k. We're working on a business right now where they have 4 different locations, and we're installing a 401k plan for their employees. And if you got savings, you've got investments in a retirement plan that's tied directly to the stock market, well, you're going to receive some of the benefits of the growth of the stock market. Listen, we've got an interview coming up with Roger Stone, but I'll just share a little bit about the interview I had with him. But Roger Stone is very excited about a golden age of America coming forth. And a lot of that golden age is economic and financially related. So when you look at your retirement plan, you might see a significant bump in your savings and investments. And some of you may be getting back on track in terms of rate of return coming from your contributions of your employer, your own personal contributions that might be increasing the accumulation value of your retirement account. Again, we're attracting global investments. And anytime that America does well, guess who does well? The rest of the world does well. And I'll give you an example. You know, I was just looking up just out of curiosity, who's the equivalent of the Dow Jones in Germany? And it's this index called DAX, D-A-X. If you add up the whole in terms of market capitalization of the 30 top companies that are built and birthed and invested in Germany, the DAX index, if you add up the market capitalization of all those 30 companies, it does not equate more than one of our companies here in America, which is called NVIDIA. We've got more market capitalization with one of our American companies, the entire top 30 company index in Germany called DAX, that tells you something about the strength of American business. And so what happens when there's a lot of investment into American businesses? There's a lot of companies and corporations that are doing well in America. Well, you know what that means? That means job security. That means job safety. That means more jobs are being added. And by the way, the jobs report that was released last week, based in October, pathetic. You tell me an entire month in a country, only 12,000 jobs was created? 12,000 jobs were created. So You can say what you want to say about the economy, but 12,000 jobs was created. Well, with this new election, with this new president, this new term coming in, a lot of companies are going to potentially do well because they're getting a lot more investment, not only from people here domestically in America, but internationally from the rest of the world. And already, 2 days after Trump gets in the election, wins the election, Hamas is already asking for peace. You remember the whole Israeli-Hamas war, where Hamas came in and murdered 1,000 plus people in one day, October 7th? Well, Hamas is now asking for peace 2 days after President-elect Trump is headed back to the White House. That should tell you something about leadership, right or wrong. Again, I could be wrong, but the world is reacting positively to President-elect Trump heading back to the White House. And what does that mean when we have job creation? What does that mean when we have job security? You know what that means? It's a reduction in crime. You know why? Because when people have jobs, they have income, instead of thinking about taking away your possessions and stealing from you, they're focused more on creating themselves and earning their own income and making sure that their careers and jobs or businesses is progressing instead of stealing it from somebody else. And on top of that, when businesses are doing well and people are employed and there's less crime, guess what goes down to as well? Intrinsically, what goes down as well is cost of property and casualty insurance. Property and casualty insurance, you'll hear about it right now. You're feeling in your pocketbook right now. The cost of your car insurance, the cost of your homeowner's insurance, the cost of some of you have renter's insurance has spiked up significantly the last 4 years. And a lot of people tell you, oh, it's because of natural disasters and, earthquakes on the West Coast and, hurricanes on the East Coast. But you're not telling you is a spike in crime forcing protests and businesses and properties destroyed. And if those businesses and properties have insurance, guess what they're also going to claim? They'll claim an insurance claim to make sure the insurance companies come in and help them write a check so therefore they can rebuild their properties and their businesses because of protests and fires and just chaos in the city and people getting broken in and people's businesses getting broken into. So this is going to help stop or reduce crime. Again, I could be wrong about this, but I'm very hopeful that this is the effect that's going to happen not only to American businesses, but to every common person in Main Street, not just Wall Street. Here's the second biggest thing I'm very interested about. Well, a couple of days after the election, the Federal Reserve had a meeting. And guess what they did? They dropped the interest rates again by 25 basis points. By 0.25%, they've reduced the interest rates. Well, why do I care? What does that matter to me? Well, hello. Your mortgage payments, if you're buying property, you can start off at a lower interest rate. If you got a car, maybe you might be able to refinance to a new loan with a lower interest rate, which lowers your car payments. If you have credit cards, the variable interest rate on your credit cards will go down potentially too as well. Your student loan rates, you can refinance it to lower student loan rates, which potentially has lower interest rate because of the drop of the interest rate cuts. What does this mean for businesses? Well, a lot of businesses are going to be seeing more funding and opportunities and programs being able for small businesses to take out a line of credit, to take out business credit cards, to fund and finance their operations, expand and grow, therefore creating jobs and opportunity and creating cash flow and revenue and projects for everybody to participate in. And there's a lot more reinvestment back into American businesses. Again, last week's job report, 12,000 jobs, stinking pathetic. How many more jobs do you think is going to be created? Because now more people are going to be inspired to be more entrepreneurial and start a side hustle, which leads me into an environment where lower interest rates allows more potential mergers and acquisitions and IPOs, initial public offerings, companies going public. I mean, let's take a look at some facts here, some stats here. If you look at the history of IPOs, okay? If you look at the history of IPOs, here's a chart here of different companies going public. Like companies like Facebook going public and Amazon going public and DoorDash going public. These are exciting because that means entrepreneurs are taking risk and now they're creating opportunities for people to invest in their companies. And if you invest in their companies, you have potential for gain. Like how many of you would be excited if you had the opportunity to invest in the next Amazon of the future, the next Uber of the future, the next Facebook of the future, the next NVIDIA, the next Tesla, the next Apple of the future? Well, that's what happens when companies are able to go public and they start from scratch. They start from low stock value, and then the CEO and the company, and they do what they do with that capital. They do what they do with that investment to create products and services and offerings that people want to buy and do business with them, and they grow in an enterprise. And your stock and your investment value goes up, 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 up in the next 1, 3, 5, 7, 10, 20, 30 years because of environments like this that create excitement around mergers and acquisitions and IPOs. So for example, if you look at the IPOs here, this is a chart here, annual IPOs from 2000 to turn of the century to 2024. You see during the Trump era, 2016, when he just started his presidency, there's 133 IPOs, then 217, and then there's 255, and then there's 232 because the interest rates were low. And then the pandemic, it spiked because it kept cutting interest rates, 480, cutting interest rates again. 1,035 companies went public. Why? Because a low interest rate environment makes money cheap. And when money's cheap, the ability and opportunity to invest in other companies becomes more attractive because the cost of borrowing is so cheap. And the opportunity to get involved in something for not a lot of costs on the investor or the entrepreneur. So you see right here, a low interest rate environment in 2020, 2021 was very good. Yes, and you said, well, Matt, that was under Biden. Totally agree. But the fact is, low interest rate environment. And guess what? 2 days after Trump gets in office, guess what the interest rates did? They dropped by 25 basis points, by 0.25%. And potentially we're going in that direction more and more quickly and smoothly as the inauguration comes in, as the first 100 days of his new presidency comes in. So there's a lot of pressure, a lot of excitement, a lot of his mandate to make sure he's working for the American people. I think deep down inside, you may feel some way about him, but I feel deep down inside, President-elect Donald Trump, President 45 and now 47, wants to do a very good job for America. This is his legacy. This is what he's been fighting for. He wants to make sure that he can make his imprint on your finances from an economic standpoint. One of the first things you realize in the first 100 days in the first year of his presidency. Because I believe, listen, this is his term right here. He's going to go all in the next 4 years. Because usually most presidents in their first term, they really get to work for the first 2 years. Because after that, in the next 2 years, you add to their schedule the fact they got to re-campaign to be reelected. Well, that hadn't happened here. So he's going, and on top of that, he's not going to go for re-election. He can't. He's done. This is his last term. So he's going to be maxing out every day of every year for the next 4 years. Furthermore, building up the next generation of Republicans to continue this work. Again, I don't care what goes on in the White House. I care more importantly what goes on in your house. I want to share this with you. So here's my reality. The last 25 years as an entrepreneur. I fought wars in my late teens to mid-20s under George H.W. Bush and Clinton. Worse, I became a divorced, bankrupt single father. But I began as an insurance agent, made my first million under George W. Bush. I also lost my first million under Obama during the Great Recession. Yet, I got my millions back under Obama. I became a decamillionaire under Trump. I was an equity owner of a $300 million exit under Biden. Again, the bottom line, it doesn't matter what goes on in the White House. That's secondary to your promises that you keep to yourself, what goes on in your house. And so when I'm looking at the third thing I'm excited about, and I'll wrap up with this, I'm excited about the multicultural middle-income demographic, the middle class. I'm excited about your taxes being lowered. We mentioned here on a previous podcast, previous episode, of the economic policy of both Kamala and Trump. And Trump here, a couple of things just come off the top of my head of what he's going to do for middle-income America. Number one, no tax on tips. He wants to make sure if you're a server, if you're a waiter, you earn any income as a service provider, that whatever tips you earn, that will be not taxed. Secondarily, for our retirees, that retirement income will not be taxed. That means a lot of retirees in their 60s, 70s, and 80s that are paying income right now on their retirement income will be no longer taxed on that retirement income. Because how many seniors right now do you see working in Walmarts, working at the grocery store? We saw a video where this retiree, this poor young lady at 72 years old, was delivering Domino's pizza to this 30-year-old couple, and she trips and falls on the porch, and pizza's all over the place, and she's so embarrassed that she dropped their pizza, and the couple comes outside. What are you doing working at 70 years old? No problem. We'll take care of this pizza. We'll get another one. No problem. Take it easy. We're not mad. I mean, your grandma, your grandpa, if they're in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, do you want them to go back to work because they're running out of money? Or because they have to dig deeper into their pocket to pay out income tax from their retirement income? Well, what's Trump saying? No more income taxes on your retirement income. And so, again, the excitement here too as well is that these aren't executive orders that will be passed. These will be actual laws and policies that will be voted in by the House and the Senate because we have, I might lock in here as a Republican House, a Republican Senate. So his program, his agenda will face speed going through Congress. And when there's an ease of passing laws versus executive orders, you can create things that last America for the long term. So I'm excited about coaching more entrepreneurs and raising up another wave of entrepreneurs to take advantage of a plan these next 4 years. And that's what you got to do. You got to come with a plan to make a ton of money in these next 4 years. Whatever money you didn't make the last 4 years, whatever money you didn't make the last 10, 20, 30, 40 years, this is one of the greatest economic environments that you and I can be in to make a lot of money. More millionaires will be created in this next 4 years than in the 2016, 2020, than 2020 to 2024. More millionaires will be created in the next 4 years, potentially the next 8 to 12 years than any other time in American history ever. Right now, just let you guys know, there's about 22 million millionaires in America right now. 22 million millionaires in America right now. You know what's number two? Number two is China at 6 million millionaires with a billion people there. With a billion people, there's only, 6 million millionaires in China? In fact, if you put number 2, 3, 4, 5, I think we'll be over to 7 to 8. If you combine the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 countries together and how many millionaires they have in their country, combined, they don't have as much as America at number 1. America is the greatest country to birth millionaires through meritocracy, through capitalism, through free enterprise. Anybody can go from nowhere to somewhere. Anybody can go from zero to hero. I firmly believe that. You're looking at a guy right now with no college degree, with a 2.2 GPA. The only thing I've learned how to do is to follow the right mentors, read the right books, surround myself with the right environments, give God for something to respect, to give God something to work with, and give something for man to respect. That's all I've been following the last 25 years in business. And thank God I've been able to find the right coaches and mentors to usher me along the way. Somebody shared with me this quote about mentorship, and it goes like this. The beauty of mentorship is it attracts the speed of advancement without the pain of experience. So if you're out there right now, you're looking to increase your speed and to recapture and have a game plan or a formula, and you don't have one, please reach out to us here. We put the links in the comment section below. And either way, I just wanted to let you know, I'm very, very excited about what's about to happen here in the next 4 years. And if there's a time for you to make a significant impact, it only takes one person in the family generation to make a decision to plant a financial economic flag and change the direction of the family generation forever. My parents did it when they decided to immigrate here from the Philippines into America. Now, they're not billionaires or millionaires, but guess what? If they didn't make that move, that investment to separate from their homeland in the Philippines, to come to America, to give me a shot, to give my sister and I a shot to do something special in our lives, I'm not having this conversation with you right now. And then my generation, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to make sure I maximize whatever opportunity my generation has to maximize the economic opportunity for the next generation. That's what I feel. Every person, every son, every daughter, you have the responsibility to change the economic trajectory of your family tree and branches forever. And right now, we're sitting in one of the greatest economic opportunities, environments for us to do so. And I hope and pray that you take advantage of it all. That being said, please put your biggest takeaway in the comment section below here if you haven't done so already. Make sure you subscribe to the 7 Fear Squad YouTube channel. Until we meet again, continue to live smart, continue to love smart, and be money smart today.